Hey everyone, for those of you who are new here, this is what our kitchen looked like a couple of months ago when we first purchased our home. The island was a bit of an awkward shape and we had lots of dated appliances, and our island countertop had a huge crack down the middle. And we knew the bones of this space were really good, but we just wanted to update it a little bit working with the floor plan that was already there. So the plan was to remove the center wall oven and then the wall cabinets on both sides, just to give the space a more open and airy feel. And we also wanted to restructure this island so it had more of a rectangular shape. So once we had a rough plan in place, it was time to go pick out our countertops. And we looked at a lot of different options, but we ended up going with this gorgeous leathered Taj Mahal quartzite. And we also decided to save money by taking our existing microwave and putting it in an opening in the island as opposed to buying an expensive microwave drawer. No regrets on that. And we did actually ask for a 2.5-inch miter on the edge of our countertops just to help make a statement with this beautiful natural stone. We also replaced the old divider sink with a big open farmhouse sink, and then we paired that with a gorgeous brass faucet, sprayer, and disposal switch, which I love to use. And the whole reason that we wanted to remove the wall oven in the first place was because I envisioned a gorgeous custom range hood to act as a focal point and to center the space. So we kept the design pretty simple with just a subtle taper detail, and then the plan is to eventually install long open shelving on both sides of the range hood for extra storage. And once drywall was installed, we didn't have the budget to install a backsplash, so I just came up with a temporary solution that would still add interest and texture to the wall, which was simply just give it a coat of a lime wash treatment. And I love the subtle old world feel that this gives to the space and the way that it looks on our range hood and kind of gives it that plaster effect. I also purchased an old barn beam off of Etsy and had professionals cut it down and install it around the range hood for a more lived-in rustic feel. And then we removed all of the cabinet doors and sanded down the frames to prep them for restaining and refacing them with new doors. So I can link all of my renovation videos if you haven't seen those, but that's kind of a quick catch up on where we're at today. And just as a quick reminder, this is the space that we started with, and this is what it's looking like just after our progress so far. Obviously, we still have a ways to go with the cabinets, but it's definitely come a long way from where we started, and I'm happy to just have a functional kitchen as we continue through renovations. Okay, so it's now present day, and I figured I'd take you guys along with me this week and kind of show you our kitchen progress and some plans. And even though the progress really hasn't been much, I think we're gonna make a couple of big decisions this week. We're gonna do the backsplash. I thought it'd be fun to pick that out together, because while we did do this beautiful lime wash backsplash, it is just not holding up and it's not practical. Like, I need something wipeable back here just because when we cook with all the grease, it splatters, it shows water stains so easily. I have to be so careful when I'm cleaning the countertops not to get spray on the lime wash, so it's just not practical. So I think we're gonna just try to find something wipeable for a beautiful backsplash. So we'll go and find some options at the stores and pick out some things and maybe bring some samples back here and decide what we're doing together. And then I think right now what I'm gonna do is turn the camera around and show you guys the progress and like how I have it styled currently and what some of the plans are. Okay, so this is currently how I have our countertop styled. Obviously, we do not have kitchen cabinets down below or anywhere in this kitchen for that matter, so I just really wanted to make this range area feel a little bit more homey and aesthetic. So what I did was I layered these vintage breadboards, and these are my absolute favorite kitchen styling accessory of all time. These have come with us to every single home that we've been in the last couple of years, and they really do just help the space to feel really warm and rustic and adds that nice European kitchen feel to the space, which I love. They typically are a little pricey to get like real rustic breadboards with that beautiful patina on them. But in my opinion, they're worth it because they're such a gorgeous display piece, and I just keep them out there all the time. And then this is my all-time favorite olive tree. The leaves on here just look so realistic, and I love the topiary shape. This guy was a little pricey again, but it's one of those that I feel like is worth it. I actually used this in our bathroom in our last house, and it looked really pretty just because it is taller. So, you know, typically you don't have this much space in a kitchen unless you have no uppers or shelves, but I think it looks nice here for now. I think some other sites do sell this. I think I have seen it online recently, so I'll link it if I can. And then also I got this on my most recent antiquing trip, And oh my gosh, I love this piece so much with the gorgeous cornflower blue detail that's hand painted on here and the rustic glaze. I just think that it's such a stunning piece. And this for me was a bit of an inspiration piece. Like, I thought it'd be really pretty to find a similar tile to this, and then we could maybe put it like just here underneath the hood, and then do like the rest like neutral tile, or like a handmade kind of like rustic neutral maybe. I don't know, that was kind of what I was thinking, just to add like a fun punch of pattern that's still classic and kind of true to that like Spanish Southwestern vibe. This almost looks like a little French to me too, which I also really like. And then over here we have this artwork, which actually serves as a little backsplash for me, because this is the main burner that I use, and this just prevents splatter. You know, when I'm cooking with oils and stuff, I'll typically like move it over a little bit. And also this range has been really good. Like I said in a previous video, we were trying to get induction and it just was not in the budget for a 36-inch size, which is what we needed. But this is electric, and I will say it's been pretty good. The only thing is, like, these buttons are a little bit janky. Like, when you have to put in the cooking temperature and stuff, it's kind of annoying to like navigate through them because they don't always like, you know, register, but it's okay. For the price, it was fine. And then it was funny because at first our burners weren't working and we had to like go through the warranty people and everything. Turns out it was just these two knobs were flipped on both sides. So it was just put together incorrectly. We didn't know. So that was an easy fix. But then over here, also another little tip that I have is just to put your wooden utensils in your crock and then store your unsightly ones down below in a drawer. Obviously we don't have a drawer right now, but when we do, that's where they'll go. Right now they're over here, but you can see like these are our more practical utensils. Obviously I still do use wood quite often, but it's just nice to have those down there. And then this just looks a little bit more aesthetic, a little bit more warm, a little bit more rustic. And then I also mixed some antique ones in there. So these I got at the antique store, and they just have like that rustic patina on them. So it makes, you know, these bamboo ones that I actually cook with just look worn and aged. Just gives it a nice little old world feel. And then also, these are my all-time favorite salt and pepper shakers. I got these on McGee & Co. also. I usually use these out on my tablescape, but I just figured they look so pretty here, so I left them there. And then it's nice because, you know, it's right by the burner, so I season with those. And then I got this on Etsy, and I love anything handmade. I think it just adds like that human element into your styling. So I can link the Etsy shop that I got this on below, and then I just fill that with my oil. So again, I have that right there when I'm cooking. And then maybe a little olive overload, but I just love this olive tree. This was from Target years ago, and I think they still sell it, but it's really nice because it does fit under shelving, which is great. And I just love the rustic look of it. The tone of this wood is super classic, and it's one of my favorites. I always switch it out for, you know, Christmas and fall with like seasonal things, and then when it's time to put it back, I get so excited because I just love the look of it. And then I got these two canisters a long time ago, and those are just like for my coffee things, just so they're out here on the counter. But you can hear Mike, you can hear the saw out there maybe. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera, but he's cutting away all the pieces of wood for the cabinets. He's done really good. I think we have from here over all made, which is really great. So we still have quite a ways to go with all of these other cabinets, but nice that we're getting there. Okay, so now we're gonna go head to the store and look at some samples. I think we're gonna go to a bunch of different stores. And what I'm thinking for the backsplash is I want something that looks really rustic, something kind of like handmade, maybe like a clay tile. I also want it to be unique. Like, I don't want it to be super trendy and something you see in every kitchen. I kind of want something like unique to this house and unique to this landscape. So that's gonna be a little bit of a challenge, but I think I'll know when I see it. So I figured it'd just be fun to go to like a bunch of stores and see what they have and what the options are. I don't know, I haven't really looked at a ton of backsplash tiles lately, so it'll be fun to just see what's even available, and maybe we'll get inspired just by going to the stores or order something online or whatever. But something that I want to keep in mind when I'm at the stores is really avoiding trends, because when we picked out the tile for our last house, white kitchens were really big and herringbone backsplashes were really big at the time. And I remember a lot of people saying like, oh, don't go with the trends because that's going to date your kitchen in 5 years. And I remember also hearing from people, like, it doesn't matter what the trends are, just pick what you like. And so I thought at the time I was picking what I liked, but now looking back, I was picking what I liked because the trends said that that looked good, if that makes sense. And I do really honestly think that that herringbone was the right move in that space, just because if we had a regular lay with that tile, it would have fallen flat a little bit just with an all white kitchen. I think it did need a little punch of like fun pattern and unique lines with the herringbone. I think that was the right move, like design wise, but it's funny because I think I liked it because it was a trend, the herringbone as well as the all white kitchen. I do kind of agree with this sentiment of you need something warm in there just to make it feel a little bit homey. You can still have like a bright white airy feel in your kitchen, but I just think like the all white was very trendy. I think white kitchens are beautiful and they're really easy, honestly, to add elements of warmth into. You know, I had my rustic breadboards, I had the woven backs on our bar stools. We did do like that gray faux concrete quartz, which I really liked. And then if we were staying there for longer, I think I would make that corner wall covered in stone and then swap out our pantry door for like an antique door. I think that would have been a really easy fix just to add some warmth in there and make it a little bit more of like a classic kitchen, but we knew we were leaving, so we didn't do that. So now we're gonna focus our energy on this kitchen. So those are kind of the things I wanna keep in mind when I go to the store. I wanna avoid trends, even if it's like in now and it's considered beautiful now. I wanna think like 10 years down the road, is that gonna date my kitchen? And I want something a little bit more classic and a little bit more unique that I haven't seen in a bunch of homes. And actually my first plan before we moved into this house, we were gonna do a stone wall, which that was like hands down what we were doing. Like that was the plan. I was like, later we're gonna do this, but right now we'll just do the lime wash and then we'll install the stone later once we've saved up a little bit more. But as we've lived in the house and I've looked at the wall every day, I just feel like for me in my space, it would be a little bit too rustic. Like we already have a lot of rustic elements in this space. I have a lot of rustic furniture. We have the old barn beams, and I just don't want it to feel like you're literally in a barn or something. Like I still think it would be beautiful and it would be timeless, and I really love the look of it, but in my head I'm like, I think we can do something different and I'm gonna love it more. So what I'm going for is something classic, unique, and then also timeless, which I feel like all those things may be oxymorons, but that's kind of what we're going for. So let's go head off to the store and see what we can find. Okay, so these were roughly the vibes that I was thinking for our tile backsplash. Just something rustic and earthy looking with that handmade quality to it. And I'm not gonna lie, I love the neutral tile, but when I pictured my dream kitchen in the desert, it always had some sort of European accent tile with just a touch of color and pattern. You know, something kind of French or Spanish looking, and I just love how it gives the kitchen some personality and color, but it's also classic and timeless. So what I was thinking to do is just do the area under the range hood in a fun patterned tile, but then do the rest of the surrounding wall and area in a neutral rustic tile, very similar to this photo. I just think it gives the kitchen that wow moment without being too crazy, and it's something unique that I know I'll love forever. So that's kind of what we're in search of today. I want to find a tile for underneath the range hood that looks distressed, like it was pulled out of an old Spanish or French villa or something, and then maybe surround it with something like a Zalige tile. So I spotted this beautiful light blue-gray patterned tile, and I thought it might be pretty to pair with something like this creamy gray Zalige tile. I just thought that combo might be kind of pretty. The only thing is I didn't know if it would look weird that the pattern tile was matte and the cream tile was glossy, and I also just kind of felt like it looked a bit fake, like someone just took a printer to the tile. So I kept looking. They definitely had a lot of options and fun patterns here. I thought that this black and white checkered one was actually really cool, not for my space or for this project, but I thought it might be cool to use on something like a bathroom floor, and it was just a pretty product with those beautiful like distressed edges. I thought that was really neat. So I kept looking and moved on to the next store, and I spotted this stunning tumbled travertine mosaic tile. I just thought this was so pretty with all of those gorgeous lines to help add interest, but I love that the travertine material still gave off that earthy rustic look. It was just a little bit too pricey for me at over $15 per square foot, but it did come in these sheets that would make installation a lot easier than if all of those tiles were individual. Now, this brown Zalige tile was a bit too dark for this project and it didn't really fit the vision, but I thought it was so pretty. Maybe for somewhere like a bathroom paired with some lighter counters and cabinetry. I just love the way that these tiles reflect the light and how each one has its own unique coloring, so when they're all paired together, it looks like a gorgeous handmade tile quilt or something. I also looked around for some of the pattern tile options, but I wasn't finding much at first. I thought some of these were interesting, and I liked that when you looked close, they had like a faux hand-painted glaze look to them. Thought that was kind of pretty. And then I also spotted these pretty terracotta and white ones, which wasn't really what I had in mind color-wise, but it had me rethinking everything for a second because I really liked them. They also had these hand-painted effect blue ones, but they were a little bit too small for the scale of the space and also a little bold color-wise. And these reminded me of something you'd see in a desert retreat, like in my JTH vacation vlog, so I thought those were really pretty. And then Mike's favorite were actually these sandstone tiles, and I did think that the earthy color and texture on these were absolutely beautiful, but I was just looking for something a little bit brighter and lighter for the natural tile as opposed to like earthy and warm. So we continued on with our search and we spotted some pretty blue and white tiles, and again, I love that these ones had that hand-painted look to them, and it was actually really hard to find a glossy pattern tile, so these were lovely, but I just felt like they were a little bit too bold color-wise, and they didn't have any distressing on them, which I really wanted. I just wanted the accent tiles to feel like they were salvaged from an old building in the Mediterranean, and these didn't quite feel like that. I also noticed some floral tiles making their way onto the scene, which is most likely a trend, but I thought that these navy ones were kind of tasteful and fun for a little accent tile. And I also spotted these floral printed ones with more of a vintage look to them. And while I wouldn't use either of these in my space, I just thought they were kind of interesting and fun to look at. And I also loved this terracotta brown tile. And like I said, it's not quite the right like light and airy feel that I'm looking for, but still really beautiful. And I could see myself using this in another area of our home eventually. Okay, so it's a couple days later and we're back from the store now. Unfortunately, I did not find anything that I loved in store, which I was a little bit bummed about because I was hopeful I'd find something in person. I just personally love to feel the texture and see the finish and the size and like the variation of the tiles within the box in person. But that's just how it goes sometimes. You gotta take a chance with something that you find online. So I found this gorgeous tile, you guys. Like I was like stopped in my scrolling tracks when I saw it, and it does come in a couple different patterns. So I ordered samples of 3 of the patterns so we can kind of hold them up and decide, but they are gorgeous. So let me show you. So just to clarify, there's 2 different tiles. There's one that I want to use throughout the rest of the backsplash right here, and then there's one that I want to use under the range hood, which is like the pattern tile. So there's 2 pattern tiles, and then there's the rustic one. So this is one of the patterned tiles, and this is exactly what I was talking about. I just love how it has all of this beautiful distressing on there, so it really does look like it's aged and it's old and it's salvaged from like an old building somewhere. And honestly, what's great about this is it's not a flat tile. The surface actually has divots and like distress marks in it, which I love because it doesn't just look like it's a flat tile with a distressed print on top. Even though that is what it is a printed tile, there's actually texture within the tile and the surface does taper down a little bit. I really like the pattern on this one. Like I like the shape of this, and I like how it kind of fades to this creamy white on the edges. So it's a nice little concentration of color in the middle, but then, you know, it still kind of fades to that neutral and would blend in really well with like a neutral tile. I just can't get over how gorgeous this is, especially with these really beautiful like crack marks on the end. I just think it is so unique and beautiful. So this is one of the pattern tiles. Let me show you the other one. Okay, so this is the second tile that's patterned, and I love this one. I love the tone of the blue on this, and honestly, it's so funny because I think I said earlier in this video that this little crock here was kind of like an inspiration piece. Like I wanted to find something similar to this, and I feel like this really does look similar to that crock, just with the color and the distressing. And I love the combo of this distressing that kind of has like a little bit of like a brown terracotta hue and how that pairs with the blue. I just think it's so pretty and unique. And I was getting a little worried when I was in the store because I was like, I have this vision of a tile, but like maybe I'm just making this up in my head and a tile like this doesn't exist. So I'm really happy that I found it, but I definitely want to put both of the blue tiles up against the wall so we can kind of decide and see which one looks better. I love all of these little faux crack details on here and the texture on this. Like, it is so, so beautiful and also timeless. Like, this totally looks like it was salvaged out of an old European villa or something, and that's exactly what we're going for in this house. It's just kind of like an old rustic Spanish villa. So this might be a little bit more French, but I don't know. I still just love the pattern on it, and I feel like it's super unique, and I love the coloring and all of that. So let me show you guys the main tile that's more neutral, and then we'll put them up against the wall and decide. Okay, so this is like the main neutral tile that would go right here along the back. And I think that this is so beautiful. I love like the creamy, warm white color of it, and then how that's contrasted with this pretty like warm brown distressing on there. And I also like that they're unique, but they're not overdone. Like, I have not seen tile like this in many spaces, if at all, that I can recall. So I like that it has its own unique vibe, but it's still really classic and timeless looking and just has that beautiful rustic look that I was going for. Like, it's so perfect. So let's put it up against the backsplash and see how it looks. I should probably move this stuff. I feel like I want to put them back after I lay the tile out just so I could see like the final vibe, but gotta take it all away for now. Okay, so that's probably good enough. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this one. I like this one, but I feel like I might like the other one better, but you never know. Sometimes you gotta see it in the space and it changes your mind. And I'm gonna center these on the center burner, so that way it's like centered with the oven. They also only let me purchase 4 of these. So like for the sample, they'll say like the max you can purchase is 4 unless you want to get like an entire crate. So that's what we got to work with. So I don't know, it's kind of fun to play with the distressing on the sides, like where you want it to line up, because they are all different. Well, they're not all different, but they have a lot of variation within the tiles. Like, they're different prints. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Okay, so like I said, I only have 4, so I'm gonna hold this up so you guys can kind of visualize, but I can't leave it there because it will fall. But how freaking pretty is that? Now I'm second guessing myself and feeling like I like this one. Don't want to scratch my lime wash, but oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Oh, I'm so obsessed with this tile. Like, I didn't think I would have this problem deciding between the two. Now I'm second guessing myself. So actually what I think will be perfect is what we can do is like cut this tile in half, and that's going to be the perfect amount of room up here so it can kind of look like it's not awkwardly cut off, you know what I mean? But yeah, wow, that's really pretty. Okay, that's this one. Maybe I should put the like rustic one on both sides so we can kind of visualize it with both of the centered ones. Okay, yeah, let's put this here. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's exactly what I was hoping for, just something that kind of blended together, but then this still could have its wow moment, but then all of the rest of the area could be something, you know, a little bit more neutral and a little bit more subdued, but still you get this like pop of pattern and statement right here, which I love. I don't know if I've talked about it enough in this video, but we are planning to do open shelving. So there will be open shelving right here and right here. And I think what the plan is just to do the tile to the open shelving. Like, to save money, we don't need to do the entire wall. And I really love the plastery look of this lime wash. I just don't want it in the immediate cooking zone. So I think that will be nice just to have the tile go to the first open shelf. So. Like, I just love these distressed edges. It looks so authentic, which is crazy because I feel like I looked through so many at the store that just looked really fakey. And I don't know, I just think these look really good. Okay, so obviously we'll have the patterned one go up here, and then these will go to the first open shelves, and the open shelves are gonna go all the way on this side to the cabinets and on this way to the other wall. So I think that's gonna be so good. Now we have to decide on this, so I'm gonna swap these out for the other ones, but these are really beautiful. My only concern is I don't know if it's like too light blue. Like, we don't have a lot of light blue in our house. There is like a darker tone of blue mixed in, but it almost feels a little bit teal, which we have a lot more navy and kind of like cornflower colors, especially like with my dishes. I have a lot of like that cornflower glaze color. So I don't know how well this would go, but I love the pattern itself. Like this is totally that kind of cross between Spanish, Southwestern, French that I was looking for. So I really love the pattern on that, but let's switch it out for the other one and see. So again, let's center it. I also love how there's variation within the tiles. Like as you can see, this one has a pretty faux crack in it. This one doesn't have that. That has like more of the distressing there. So there's actual variation within each one. I forget, it said on the website how many different prints there were, but I think that just helps to make it look so authentic and realistic, which I really appreciate. I don't know, you guys, what do you think? I think the other one is really beautiful, but I feel like this goes a little bit more with our space. You know, we have our navy sofa. I have a lot of navy dishes and things that I want to display out on the open shelving. And I don't know, I think there's just something about this color that I love. Let's hold this guy up there so you can kind of visualize. Obviously, this is all the tile that we have, but it's kind of the biggest visual that you can get with the tile that I ordered. I don't know, I just think that this is so beautiful and it's so unique. Like it's not all the way floral or botanical, like it kind of has that vibe to it, which I like, but it also looks, you know, just looks like a simple hand-painted pattern. And if you look really closely, each one of these little details looks to be hand-painted and different. So I'm sure the print that they made was from like a hand-painted pattern, which I just think is really cool. Like these are different sizes than these, and I don't know, I love the natural variation in it, and like how some tiles even look dirty, which is really beautiful. Oh, this is so exactly what I was looking for, but I don't know, I can't decide. What do you guys think? You'll have to let me know in the comments which one you would pick. Okay, so I'm really glad that we were able to find a backsplash tile that we love. I do just want to say though, it will probably be a while before we have this kitchen like all finished and done and the backsplash goes up, just because the cabinets themselves are super time consuming. Mike is making each one from scratch, so he has to like sand them down and glue them up, and each one takes a while to set, and they do take a really long time to make. And you know, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times when you guys see projects being done at a large scale in a quick video, a lot of times those content creators are full-time content creators, and Mike works a full-time job. He works a very demanding job. He's a nurse, so he has a lot going on, and then when he has time off, I don't want him to just feel like he has to have his head down and making cabinets the whole time. So it's really important that we pace ourselves and we just, you know, we have a functional kitchen, it works well. So we're just gonna kind of slowly add in the aesthetic finishing touches like as we're able to finish them. So it might be a little bit more of a slower process, and I just say this because I know I'm gonna get comments like, when are you finishing the kitchen? So I don't want you guys to think just because we're ordering the tile that it's going to be done next week or anything like that. We do have quite a bit of a ways to go, and Mike has spent probably the last month making just these cabinets right here, so it'll probably be a while. We still have to figure out the stain because there's a whole issue of staining maple cabinets. They do tend to blotch, and so we're currently problem solving that right now and seeing like if we're going to do painting or if there's a way to prevent the blotch. And it just takes a lot of time and research and testing because you got to make tester cabinets and then you got to sand those down, and you know, it does take a long time. So that's kind of where we're at with like the rest of the renovations, but hopefully within the next couple of months we should see the finish line, fingers crossed. Also, something that I wanted to say too was, I know I mentioned like the herringbone trend or like trying to avoid trends when picking out the backsplash, and I just wanted to clarify, like obviously if you're going for a more modern updated look to your kitchen and you're doing a renovation, it's usually like gonna be trendy. It just kind of goes hand in hand with like picking out current materials. Like they usually do come and go. So I didn't mean that, you know, I just want it to be totally avoidant of the trends. I guess what I was trying to say was like, I'm just trying to avoid the things that everyone is doing and you see in so many kitchens. That's what I'm trying to avoid. So even too with like the herringbone is still a classic lay, and they were doing that in the 1920s, like with flooring and all of that. So I don't think like herringbone is necessarily out. It was just like there was a time when everyone was doing herringbone with that subway tile, and it was like such a thing. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to avoid. So I kind of wanted to clarify that a little bit, and not saying that like this is going to be a trendless kitchen, because it's not. And Also, another reason that we went with the tile was because we figured, hey, later on we want to do another quick, easy update. We can just swap out the backsplash, which is a lot easier than stone, like a full entire wall of stone. This little backsplash area will be a lot easier to switch out later on, which honestly, after finding this tile, I don't foresee us needing to do that. But yeah, that was just another positive for going with a tile backsplash versus the stone. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're still here, thank you for listening to me ramble on. I appreciate you all being here and just coming along for the process. These kinds of videos just make this part of the process so fun for me, and I do really love getting to share little things like this, such as picking out the tile and just like our progress. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it, even though it wasn't a full like start to finish makeover. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I want to thank you all for being here, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!